Oh, hello, it is I, your boy Gomi, and we are ending UFC 289 hot off the heels off the end of the event. I was right in almost every assumption I've had about this card. A lot of people were saying that this card would be lackluster. We were right. I think it was actually worse than 288, which 288 I thought was pretty poor, but regardless, let's break down the card and what went down on the card. First and foremost, Diana Belbita versus Maria Oliveira. Went the other way what I thought, but ultimately was a very uneventful fight. Maria Oliveira dropped the first two rounds and tried to turn it on in the third round. I don't even know if she won the third round, to be honest with you, but it really wasn't much of a fight. A lot of uneventful strikes. Yeah. No knockdowns, of course. 3 takedowns, but it was not that exciting. As I stated, David Dvorak was not all that. He lost to Steve Esser. I heard on the broadcast. I still can't pronounce it. But yes, that doesn't surprise me whatsoever. I've been saying that David Dvorak was not all that, and Steve, I've seen, like I said, a few of his regionals fights. He's pretty solid, honestly. I was really going for that submission. I thought I'd get that submission, but ultimately, and he had a few attempts, but ultimately he just wanted to judge a scorecard. That must really suck, losing to an unranked fighter on their debut fight on 8 days' notice. So yeah, he's going to be number 10 ranked flyweight in the world. He's gonna hop over David Dvorak. David, he really should have took the Muhammad Mokaev fight. He probably would have had a little bit better of a chance, but I still think Mokaev would have beat him. Then we're gonna have Cal Nelson versus Blake Bilder. I thought this was gonna go in the way of Bilder. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really surprised Nelson put up any offense whatsoever, but he actually won. He had some pretty solid strikes overall. The first 2 rounds are pretty good. The third round, they both really kind of died down a little bit, but really, Nelson was just putting on him. He had superior range, and he was just beating him to the punch. I really feel like he had a Canadian buff. They really was a Canada buff for all the Canadian fighters. All of them won. Every Canadian fighter won tonight, which kind of shocked me because I really only thought the Canadian fighters that would win on this card were just the 2 in the main event, the main card, but no, all of them won. Cal Nelson really put it on Blake Bilder and gave him his first defeat. Great performance. And then Imam Zahabi versus Quiglin. I didn't have a lot of faith in Zahabi, even though the Zahabi brothers are very prolific coaches, very prolific jiu-jitsu practitioners in UFC. I didn't think he would win, to be perfectly honest with you, but he got it done. I'll be 1% honest as well too. Me and my friends went downstairs to go get some snacks, and I missed the knockout. I did run it back because thankfully it was on prelims. And yeah, just a really powerful right hand. It was a sat him down and finished him off. That was the one of the only 2 knockouts on the card, which is Miranda Maverick versus Jasmine. I could try it. The fight went how it went again. How do I pronounce this? I knew it'd be a decision. I thought Maverick would have got it, but again, the Canadian buff really helped out Jasmine. I really was surprised at first. She threw a lot of good shots. She just beat her to the punch, and when it came to the grappling exchanges, which was the Miranda Maverick's specialty, she really didn't get anything off. She was 0 out of 3 takedowns, and then Jasmine got 1 takedown on her, and she just beat her up for 3 rounds. A very uneventful fight, to be honest with you, but yeah, that went the way I said. My only bet for this was just for it to not go to go to distance, so happy that hit. Nasruddin Imam versus Chris Curtis. I'm always disappointed with Nasruddin Imam's fights. I can confidently say he's a pretty boring fighter. Chris Curtis is a pretty exciting fighter, but those damn headbutts are the bane of his existence. Another headbutt, this time now it spoiled the momentum of the fight. It ended the fight. Chris Curtis couldn't see out of his eye. He really wanted to keep going, but he was very honest that he couldn't see out of his eye. And that's all I wrote for that. A lot of people are saying they would like to see this fight run back. I don't want to see it. I've seen what I need to see from those guys. Let them fight somebody else. Get Curtis a good dance partner. Like Gaslam and Buckley were good dance partners, not Imamov. Imamov just, I don't know, keep having him move up, honestly. He's just gonna keep getting beat by better guys, honestly, in the division. But yeah, no, that's no contest, so that spoiled some of my bets, to be honest with you, because I won a few hit over the 1.5, but still, oh well. Now on to the main card. Marc-Andre Barrio, I was mispronouncing his name, even though I heard him in his fights. I swear I believe it was Felder at one point as well to say Barrio. That's my mistake, but no, Barrio, unless Anik was mispronouncing it, but then again, Felder's right next to him to connect them. Regardless, Marc-Andre versus Eric Anders. This fight went exactly how I thought. Exactly I said it was going to go. Exactly I thought it went down to a T, except I thought Anders would take more of a light changing beating. I said there's a possibility for Marc-Andre to get a finish, and he was really searching for that, but Anders is really tough. If Anders was able to survive Kali Rountree, he was going to survive Marc-Andre, but that's just the thing. Marc-Andre beat the piss out of him. 103 total strikes, 95 significant strikes, 49% significant strike accuracy. He was just drawing the harder shots. Eric Anders got dropped right at the start of the first round. But to be fair, he rallied back and he was able to stay on the feet for the rest of the fight. He landed some clean shots, but there was a lot of clinching and tie elbows in there. That's the one thing I said. I said Marc-Andre would probably be better in the clinch department because he was very sneaky in the clinches. Eric Anders was able to match him for a good bit of it, which was very impressive that he was able to last that long. But ultimately, he was taken out. He was defeated, and he lost on the scorecard. It ultimately was going to be a victory, a decision win, unanimous decision for Marc-Andre. Exactly I called it, and exactly I said in my breakdown video. Next fight on the card was going to be Dan Ige versus Nate Landwehr. Nate is the only one I was wrong on the main card, which is unfortunate. I thought Nate the Train would put up a better performance than that, but it really, yes, the slick boxing, I pointed out, Dan Ige had very slick boxing, and it really showed, but it really didn't feel like Nate the Train was in there. It really, really, really did not feel like that was the Nate Landwehr we saw a win against Onama. Dan Ige was landing harder shots, dropped him twice. I don't know if that first shot counts as a drop, but regardless, dropped him unofficially twice. He just pieced him up on the feet. I didn't think Dan Ige was that good, to be honest with you, from what I've seen from Dan Ige. Yeah, he was a scrappy brawler, but Nate seemed better in his other fights. Regardless, the better man that night to land, the harder shots, throw more, ultimately was Dan Ige. Nate Landwehr, I don't know if he felt his power early on and just couldn't really handle it, but ultimately the W goes to Dan Ige. Unanimous decision. Where does Dan Ige go from here now, though? Because to be honest with you, everyone he could have fought ahead of him, he's already lost to, so unsure, but Dan Ige gets the nod. Unanimous decision. The next fight on the card is going to be Mike Mallett versus Adam Fugit. Went exactly how I said. And I also said in my breakdown video, I honestly would have went with finish rather than a knockout or submission, because I really felt club and sub, which was ultimately what happened, would be very likely. I really felt that Mike Mallett was the real deal, and Fugit is... Fugit, really, I felt that there were so many ways that Mallett could have beat him, and he pretty much exploited all those avenues. His striking was better. He was much better on the ground as well too. He almost locked the submission round 1, but Adam Fugit is actually the first person to in the UFC, granted out of 3 fights, to get past the first round against Mike Mallett. But Mike Mallett ultimately was able to drop him again, exactly how I said. Because Adam Fugit's awful posture, sticking his head out forward, losing his reach advantage as well too. Because of that poor stance, he lost his reach advantage, and he had some pretty decent form high kicks that literally Mike Mallett just shifted out of the way from. He was eventually able to catch him on the chin, Adam Fugit, as he was leaning forward with a crisp 1-2 hook combo. It was actually the left hook too. The left hook was what dropped him, floored him on the ground. He got that guillotine choke, and he ended the fight. Mike Mallett by submission. And now the true main event, the co-main event, went also how I said, except I did have a really nice parlay that had over 1.5. And Charles Oliveira, he proved he is him. He proved he is him. He broke his curse as well, too, of always losing in Canada. And I'm going to say this right now. I've been saying this for years. Beneil Dariush was overrated. I said it in my breakdown video. I said I feel like we're overestimating Dariush. We're overestimating him. That just proved my point. Dariush proved to be, again, the better wrestler. As I said, my breakdown video was so on point. It was so on point. He proved to be the better wrestler overall, but the grappling, the submission game ended up being neutralized. So when it came onto the feet, Beneil Dariush is a very safe striker. You can't be a safe striker. You have to be an aggressive but intelligent striker to be able to outstrike Oliveira. Gaethje was doing very good against Oliveira, and honestly, if he went to the ground with him, he probably could have got a club of sub, maybe. Or not club of sub, TKO ground pound, maybe. But Dustin Poirier, firmly, like, he was doing the best because he was a much better striker. Dariush did not have it. Those kicks from Charles Oliveira were on point. He was hurting Dariush with every shot. He had a ton of power. He was hitting him with so many kicks. He was hitting them as well, too, with those knees to the body. Just everything that Oliveira was doing was much better on the feet than Beneil Dariush. Dariush, if he got it down to the ground, maybe could have stalled out more. He probably could have did a little bit more with stalling. But he could have probably did a lot more being the ground. But he kind of knew he needed to get a finish. He really kind of felt that, which is why he went after Charles the way he did. Charles ended up having a 72% significant strike accuracy. Very impressive. 78% total. I've always said this about Charles. Charles has always been a supremely accurate striker. And his Muay Thai is just so efficient. Ultimately, took Beneil Dariush out in round 1. And ultimately, I feel that was enough to solidify a rematch against Islam Makhachev in Abu Dhabi. Like I said, I kind of wanted to be Beneil Dariush to get some flesh blood, because to be honest with you, I don't see Charles in any way beating Islam, because while he's amazing, but I feel he's a great fighter, one of the best lightweights. I feel like it's a Bobby Knuckles, Dustin Poirier, Bobby Knuckles and Max Holloway situation, where he's the number 2 guy, but there's a big skill gap between the champion. But that's not just because of skill gap. I just feel it's a really bad matchup for Islam and Charles Oliveira, because Islam can be a very efficient counter striker. Even though he's not hyper aggressive, he's a very efficient counter striker, and he's the better grappler, probably better wrestler too. Yeah, he just beats him in all avenues, honestly. So regardless, I'd much rather see that though than Dustin or Justin fighting Islam. Oh well, on to the... Oh, that's such a good shot right there, man. He just beat the living crap out of Dariush. I'm so surprised, man. That's all I'm saying. It's like when Dariush was the 3rd best in the world after beating Tony Ferguson, I fought back on that hard, and I'm glad I'm validated. On to the main event. Amanda Nunes beat the brakes out of Irene Aldana. This went again how my video said, except Nunes did even better on the feet. Irene Aldana had absolutely nothing for Amanda Nunes. That was barely even a fight, to be perfectly honest with you. Amanda Nunes beat her up on the feet for the first 3 rounds. Got some then she took her down to the ground, almost got some submissions, some ground and pound. Really, it was her fight. She dictated the entire course of the fight. Aldana was scared, barely throwing any strikes. I don't know what she was doing. No matter how scared or afraid you are, you have to throw. And she really froze there. That is one of the worst performances I've ever seen in a title fight. Like, that is a horrible performance. Amanda Nunes, I felt like she probably could have pushed the pace, to be honest with you, more. But I did say Irene Aldana's tough. She has that Mexican toughness. So, of course, she was able to survive throughout the whole thing and get to the decision. And Amanda Nunes has defended her title once again. And she is retired. Also, there's that really long bit where they could not get the cutman in there. What the hell was that? But yes, Amanda Nunes has retired from the sport of MMA. She really did everything she needed to do. There was not really much she needed to do, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, Nobody really wants the Shevchenko fight after Shevchenko lost. Nobody wanted the Pena fight. And who else is there? Raquel Pennington, sure, beat her. There really wasn't much left for Amanda Nunes to do. Oh man, she had a 60% strike accuracy, landing 196 strikes, 53% significant strike accuracy, and she performed 6 takedowns at 13 attempted. That was just a beatdown. She proved herself to be the best women's MMA fighter of all time, and women's MMA is taking a massive hit with her gone. Yes, she wasn't as much of a draw as a lot of people were like trying to make her out to be, particularly the UFC, but she was still the most prolific MMA women's fighter. I just gotta say, man, the featherweight division's already dead. Dana White said the featherweight division's dead. The bantamweight division might follow soon, because what is it going to be? Juliana Pena versus Raquel Pennington? Ultimately, that's going to be the end of the card. That's it. UFC 289, was it trash? Yeah. That was not a great card, to be honest with you. That was 3 finishes. 3 finishes out of 11 fights. 2 submissions, 1 knockout. No, 2 knockouts, 1 submission. Forgive me, I can't do math. That was one of the cards of all time. But as I stated, we're just waiting for 290. UFC 290. In fact, even the entire month of June, I'm only waiting for Ilia Topuria versus Josh Emmett. That card as well, too, is pretty butt. But, yeah, after that, after we get through all that slogs, 290 is going to be one hell of a card, and I'm looking forward to that. You then have one poopy card, a London card, and you have 291. Man, that July is going to be fun. July is going to be the apology for June. But this has been your boy Gomi. Let me know what you think of the card. Please let me know if you took my best bets video and watched my breakdowns, because they were just so on point this week. And bye-bye.